Dina Sherif. I'm a co-founder of a social enterprise called Ahead of the Curve.
I'm Nihal Sharara, and I'm the managing director at Ahead of the Curve.
I'm Salma. I'm the deputy managing director of Ahead of the Curve.
So Ahead of the Curve started in 2012, and the main purpose behind it was to build more sustainable and inclusive economies in the Middle East. And the way we do that is we work through the private sector to help them become more sustainable. And that's a kind of top-down approach. And bottom-up, what we do is we work to promote impact-driven entrepreneurship and entrepreneurs who develop business models to solve major challenges in society across the Arab region.
For us, most of our work has tended to be, a lot of it is in person. We're switching more, like everyone else is, to the digital realm. And we're working remotely. And there's a challenge of maintaining the engagement that we have and our outreach with our networks, the social enterprises we work with, and the whole ecosystem. We've had a strong focus at Ahead of the Curve on advocating for gender equity in the private sector, and we've been working very hard on that. And unfortunately, this priority has kind of been sidelined under the current crisis. We're seeing a lot of private sector companies shifting their activities in the sustainability field to a more philanthropy or charity response. So in-kind donations addressing the crisis, which are important, but we're concerned about this shift. You know, we would prefer to see more strategic interventions. But on the positive side, as the Head of the Curve, we think it's a great opportunity to create a dialogue and focus on the flaws that we have in the current systems. So we've started a webinar called Reimagining Life, and it's a series looking at how we can find what works, innovations, scaling best practices, and reimagining a kind of more inclusive and sustainable future in areas like food security, education, creating positive impacts for those at the base of the pyramid.
So I think there's a dark side and a bright side. On the dark side of things, there are companies that are going to struggle, and especially those that are heavily rely on like face-to-face interactions, or that are the sectors that are being affected by this, but also other companies are thriving and also growing or offering, or this like provides an opportunity for them to prove their relevance and to grow their impact, I guess.
A lot of things give me hope. I think in the short term, I'm not optimistic about a lot of things, but I'm definitely hopeful about the long term. I do think we're going to see, you know, for years in the Arab region, we've been talking about public-private partnerships and the need to see more deep and meaningful public-private partnerships. I think now it's finally the time where we might see some of these things emerge. I think in terms of the private sector, I think private sector is going to be a lot more dedicated to ethical business practice and more inclusive business practice, just because I think many people have seen through the pandemic the multiple systems that have cracks in them. A lot of young entrepreneurs who want to build businesses will really be thinking about how they can create business models to tackle some of the challenges that we've seen throughout this global pandemic. And these are not just challenges in healthcare. These are challenges across multiple systems of distribution, retail. How do you get access to the products and services you need while you can't move? I think there's so many areas of innovation. And while I think, as Salma said, a lot of small businesses are going to struggle and may not survive, we'll be seeing a lot of new businesses evolve. And I think, you know, that's something to be hopeful about. I think one of the things that I'm super, super hopeful and optimistic about is our women entrepreneurs. Women tend to invest whatever profits they make back into the business. So a lot of women entrepreneurs that I've been speaking to, their focus is not necessarily how are we going to survive this from a financial perspective. And I think that is a concern. But I think for them, the bigger concern is, you know, how can they take the time now to really focus on building their teams in a stronger way, and they're taking time to really think about long-term strategy and how they need to pivot and evolve and stay relevant to the times. And I think that that for me is something I'm really hopeful about, because I'm hoping that when this is over, we'll look at women entrepreneurs as a great example and a model to follow for how to manage your business in the best way. And I think that's a very exciting place to be. And I hope that as a result, we'll be seeing a lot more investors focus on women entrepreneurs as the ones to really bet their money on.